Hey everybody, it's your girl. What's up on today? Oh my god, I'm finally in here getting ready to make this messenger bag. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. Okay, so I'm glad I got around to it. Some people have asked me to create a messenger bag out of quilted fabric, and I was really trying to debate whether or not I wanted to use a fabric that was already quilted or we create a quilted fabric. Well, but we are going to create a pattern out of this. So stay tuned, and I'm going to jump right in this and get this party started so you can have this messenger bag and you can do your thing. All right, talk to you later. See you over there. Peace. So the first thing I did, I created a pattern so your first piece is for your main fabric, okay? So your main fabric pattern piece, you create a piece from paper or whatever you have, measuring 15 by 12, and that'll be for the front and back of your bag. You're going to cut two main pieces of fabric and you're going to cut two lining pieces of fabric out of this. Then you're going to have your bottom piece of fabric. You're going to measure it 15 by 4. You're going to cut one main fabric and one lining fabric from that piece, okay? And I'll have the measurements in the description box below. I had just did a little scribbling on that side, right? So I will put these measurements in the description box below. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut for your side. You're going to cut 4 by 12 inch. You're going to cut two main fabrics, and you're going to cut two lining fabrics, okay? So now that completes the pattern for your lining and your main fabric. The next thing we're going to do is I created another pattern which is going to be for our interfacing, and what I did was I created it 1 inch smaller than the measurements of the handbag, the main pieces for the handbag. So you have your interfacing pattern piece 14 by 11. You're going to cut two because you're going to cut it one for the front and one for the back. Now it depends on you. It depends on what you want to use. And forgive me because I'm still a little stopped up from being a little sick, but I'm good now. But it depends on what type of interfacing you want to use. I am going to use fusible interfacing, and it's not a real heavy weight, but it's like kind of like a medium weight interfacing, which I'm going to use. And so I wanted to cut it 1 inch shorter than our main pattern piece so that we'll have enough room to work around and still have the stableness of the bag, okay? So now we're going to do the same thing with our bottom piece of our bag. We're going to cut one piece measuring 14 by 3, and that's for the interfacing. And we're going to also cut two pieces of interfacing for the side of our bag, which measures 3 by 11. So again, depending on the weight of interfacing that you would like to use for your bag, this is what I'm using, and it's a fusible. So I'm going to use this, and it's only fusible on one side. But also don't forget, anytime you purchase any type of fusible fabric, whether fusible fleece or interfacing, make sure that you read the instructions so that you know that you actually are applying it the right way. Okay, so let's get started making this messenger bag, okay? So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to cut out all our fabric pieces, all right? All right, I'll see you back here. Okay, so we back. So now what I've done, I've created all of my pieces for the bag. I have two main pieces of fabric, and I actually have put my, I added my stabilizer to each piece. I've already done that. So this is the two main pieces of fabric for front and back bag. I have my 2 side pieces, which I've also added my stabilizer to. I have the bottom piece of my bag, which I've also added my stabilizer to. I have my inside lining, which I have 2 pieces here. And at this point, this is where you will add any pockets that you want to add to the inside of your bag. Now, I will have everything in this description box below, but I do want to just let you know so you can cut out whatever size pockets that you like to cut out, but I will have that information, okay? And I also have my bottom piece for the bottom bag for the lining. I have 2 side pieces for my lining, and I also have a lining piece and a front piece for the flap. So like I said, all of this will be in the description box below. All right, so let's get started. So I decided to show you what I was doing. I said, let me show you, because you might want to know how to embellish your bag. It's really easy to embellish your own bags. So I thought that I would show you this just in case you want, I should. Let me film this just in case they want to know. So anyway, the lining fabric that I use for the bag, I actually cut out some of the butterflies to embellish my bag. Here's a piece here. And you can find fabric like this that have different type of photos, pictures, designs, whatever on the fabric, and you can actually cut them out and use them as embellishments on your bag. So that's what I did. I cut them out, and I actually use my let me get it. I use my adhesive spray because I'm actually going to sew around these lines and create a nice texture here. And this is the flap of the bag, and this is before I put my lining on. So you'll see how it goes. But anyway, everything is not, I just spray glued these down. But see, you just turn it over on the back, you add this little bit of spray, not on here, but I put it on the floor, and then you just put it right back where you want it, and it sticks, and then you're able to take it to the sewing machine. This I'm going to do a little different. This piece here, I actually plan on drawing a little face here. This is our little hat, and I actually plan on putting some stuffing, pillow stuffing in here to pop it up so it'll stand, and then I'll stitch around. I don't know if I'm going to hand stitch or how I'm going to do it yet, but stitch around and just to kind of pop it out like kind of a 3D effect. But it's my own little thing, and I'll probably put ribbon on here, and you can just embellish yours any way that you like. But before you put it on something, whether this is a front part of a bag or a front part of a bag or the flap of a bag, make sure you do it before you actually start to attach and put the lining on, because you don't want the threads to go through the lining. Okay, once I got finished embellishing the front part of my flap, which I'm sorry y'all, I did not even show you, but you just put right sides together. Once you get finished embellishing, this is the front of the bag, this is the flap. So I've already embellished my bag on the inside of my flap. So once you do that, you'll put right sides together of the lining fabric and the flap of your bag. So you stitch around about a 1/2 inch around, and make sure that you trim this off. Now what you could have done, which I should have done for your flap, you could actually round at the corners here, but I didn't do it on this one. But you still have time. So make sure you trim this off, not cutting your seams. And this is just a flap. We're just working with the flap right now. The next thing you can do is before you start to put your lining together, and you're also going to need a zipper for this project. So again, everything would be in the description box below. But before you start to put your lining together. So what I'm doing is just working with everything that I want to put together before I start actually putting the bag together. So, okay. So this is the flap. So once you trim it down, when I sewed 3 sides, leaving the top part open. Okay, so I don't want you to close the top part yet. So let's turn this over. This is your flap, your front part of your bag. And so I decided to embellish mine. You don't have to, but I decided to. And you embellish before you put your lining on. Okay. So this is going to be the front part of my bag. Now this would be a cute bag just by itself, huh? All we had to do is add like another piece for a lining and a pocket and add a strap, and we had another little bag going on right here. But this this is a flap. So you are going to take it to your ironing board and you're going to iron it down, okay? Because remember, I'm all about pressing. Pinning and pressing. So this is going to be the flat part of the bag when you open the bag. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that. So this is the front part. So I decided, like I said, to embellish mine a little bit, do a little girly stuff. I even wrote some words, dream big, and stitched over it. And I might actually add some more words to it. But this is what I have right now. All right, so let's get started with our next piece. Alright, the first thing I decided to do is to actually start with the back piece and the back of the bag and the flap. That's what I decided to start with, okay? So what I want to do with this is actually, you have one of these gauges, the seam gauge they call it. I want to come down. First you find the middle of your bag, and that's what I did here. I found the middle of this bag, and actually what I did was I put a pin where the middle is, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do is find the middle of the flap. So I'm going to fold it in half, and I'm going to place the middle 1.5 inches down. That's where I want to line it up, at 1.5 inches from the top, because we're going to put a zipper in our lining here. So this is what I want to do. The next thing we're going to do, once you find the middle, so I folded this in half to find the middle. So I placed this at the middle of the pin, again keeping this at 1.5 inches from the top. Then I open it up, and this should be the middle of your bag. So I'm going to measure on both sides to make sure that I have the 1.5 measurements coming down from the top. And it seems like I do. So the next thing I'm going to do is pin. And don't worry about the raw edges right now. Here, let's pin this. Let's not worry about the raw edges right now. And take your time when you actually iron this, and not like I did. And I took my time though, so I shouldn't say I didn't take my time, because I did. Make sure this is 1.5. Pin this. This is going to be a really cute bag. Really cute. And I always come up with ideas once I make something and I'm like, oh my god, I see something else. So let's pin this down. And take this to your sewing machine and do a zigzag stitch across here. Now I'm using black thread. Okay. You can use whatever color thread you want to. And so we're going to take, and then we're going to zigzag the stitch. Remember, do not sew over your pins. Okay. And you know what? What I'm doing is actually leaving room for the zipper. So make sure that you stitch here. Okay. All right. And always measure twice. That's good. That's good. And this is a little art bag as far as I'm concerned. It's really nice. It came out really well. So again, before you put your lining on is when you should embellish the front part of your bag. You can embellish it, you can write on it, you can do whatever you want to, just like I did. Okay? And then you'll actually put the lining on after that. So now we're going to take this over to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch across. Okay? Don't worry about all of the little raggedy. We're going to fix that. Okay? Alright. I'll be right back. So I've stitched around the entire bag, zigzag stitch. And if you do it like I did, I actually ended up going all the way around once I already had added this. But if you do, you should actually do it before you put the flap on. But if you don't, you do it like I did. Just make sure that you pull this piece back when you stitch up here, okay, on both sides, so you won't stitch this, because this is where we're going to add our zipper at. Okay, so it's coming out now. Nice. Can't even get it out. Nice, nice. It's coming out nice. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our strap. And I'm doing the strap a little different. Now, you could do it however you want to. You could add it to the side of the bag, but I want to add mine to the back of the bag. And so we're going to create the strap. So I didn't know exactly how I was going to create the strap. So what I'm going to do is, and again, the measurements will be in the description box below. So I'm going to take this fabric here that I use for the inside lining, and I'm going to create the strap from this fabric, okay, that I use for the inside lining. I'm sorry, the sizes will be in the description box. Y'all know I'm trying to get this together. It's been a minute since I did a video, a sewing video, so I was under the weather a little bit, but you know what? It's coming back. I'm coming back. I'm back. I'm back. Now, also let me mention this too at this point. If you would like to, you could actually take a piece of ribbon and you could place a piece of ribbon on here as well. You can decorate this and embellish it however you want to. Now, if I add the ribbon, I will probably stitch it still with my black thread, because as you notice, I'm outlining a lot of stuff with the black, and I'm pulling the black out of the pink. So if you like to, you can add ribbon at this point right here. Now, don't forget also, before you put your lining in, make sure that you add your pockets before you start putting your lining together. Alright? Alright, I'll be right back. So here we're getting ready to create our straps for the bag. And again, I told you I was using the lining fabric. You can actually use whatever fabric you want. It was on the fold, and I just measured in 4 inches and I cut 2. And it was on the fold. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the fabric, because we're going to create our strap. Now, if I were you, it's up to you. You can do it if you want to, but I'm going to take this to the ironing board. I'm going to fold it in like this. Then I'm going to fold it in again. I'm going to press. Then I'm going to fold it in again. And I'm going to press this, and I'm going to pin it, and I'll be back. And so once we press and pin, we're going to stitch the strap on both sides. So what I'm going to do here is, now that I've pressed the straps, you fold it in half, press, fold both ends in to the middle, press again, and top press again. And then I came from the top of the strap, and you'll see after I stitch it, I came in 6 and I placed a pin at 6 inches in on both sides. I'm going to stitch on both sides of the strap all the way down and back. So what I decided to do was make a little box here, or I call it a box. Why did I call it a box? I never moved the strap, but I took a piece of fabric, I made a square, I turned it on the wrong right sides together, and I stitched, leaving a opening to turn it inside out. And then what I did, I took the strap here, I left it in place, and I pushed it inside. And I'm just going, this is just to make more decorative pieces for your bag, for the back. It's not even. I just, you know, something just to make it decorative and cute. So I'm going to do that for both sides, okay? Alright, so now you see I have attached my straps to the back. And you see I made these little pouch things. And it just gives decoration. I like using the stitch. And it also is going to help to keep my straps down. It's real nice. And remember, this is a fun bag. We're having fun with this bag. Okay? We're going to have a lot of fun with this bag. And it's actually starting to come together. It's really nice. And I'll show you next what we're going to do with these straps. We're going to make fringes. Fringe straps here. So I'm going to cut that with the scissors. And that's all we're going to do on each side. We're just going to have all of this out of the way. Now what I want you to do is actually work on your lining for your inside pockets so we can start to put everything together. Alright? Hope you're enjoying this project. This is our messenger bag. It's a fun messenger bag. Alright. Okay, now we're getting ready to put the lining piece together. Now don't forget, like I said, before we start, make sure if you want pockets that you add your pockets on your fabric, okay? So we're going to put this together. We're going to put right sides together. This is our bottom part. And we're going to stitch across, okay? About a 1/2 inch. So now that we have sewed this, and I'm using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So the next step we're going to do is put our zipper on. Now it's funny because I purchased this zipper. It's a 2-sided zipper, and I have no idea. I think it's a coat zipper. But you know what? It's going to give some style to my bag. So this is, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to use this zipper. So you're going to lay your fabric down, right sides up, and I'm using black thread, so you can see I took something loose here. So we're going to take the zipper, and actually you would put the right side down. Now this is the side with the flap. This is the side. This actually is the side with the flap on it. Okay. So now what we're going to do is, and also I want you to get a long enough zipper, okay, so you can leave some space on both sides, because what I don't want you to do is, I don't want you to sew the zipper all the way to the end, okay? So you're going to take your lining piece of fabric and you're going to put right sides together. This is at the top. I'm going to add this to top, making sure you have everything lined up. You're going to pin all the way across, making sure all sides are lined up. And you're going to take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch all the way across here. But you want to leave a 1/2 inch on both sides, okay? So don't sew it all the way to the end. Matter of fact, how about we take this last pin and we pin it here like this. And this way you won't sew all the way to the end. And we'll do that on both sides, okay? Because I don't want you to sew it all the way to the end. There's a reason for that, because when we sew this together, I don't want you to sew the zipper in to the side. Alright, so you're going to stitch this all the way across, and we're going to come back, stopping, and then you're going to reverse this, and you're going to do the same thing on the other side of the zipper. Alright, I'll be back. So now that we have stitched one side of our zipper in, we're going to actually stitch the other side. So let me show you what I did. And I also turned it over after I stitched, and then I actually did a top stitch across here. Okay, so now what we're getting ready to do is we're getting ready to turn the bag over. We're going to put right size fabric together. This is our other side of fabric, the one with the bottom sewed on it. We're going to line that up. And underneath, we're going to put right sides together. And I hope you enjoyed this messenger bag. Let me tell you, this is one of those I'm sewing and designing as I go. You all know when I start doing something sometime, it's like, oh my goodness, I don't know how I'm going to do it yet, but let's get it together. But again, all of the measurements will be in the description box below. Okay? So now what we're going to do is pin same way we did the other side. And we're going to, of course, leave still, I want to still leave a 1/2 inch. So we won't sew all the way. Make sure all layers are together and at the top of the zipper so we can stitch all the way across. Okay, you're going to take this over to your sewing machine and you're going to stitch across. Alright, I'll see you back here. So this is what you have when you open up your bag. So we already top stitched one side, so now I'm going to go on this side and I'm going to top stitch. So what you're going to have is you're going to have your lining piece here, fabric here. And you're going to have this piece here. Now you're going to take this and you're going to top stitch. Alright? Okay, so now that we have everything together here, so now we're getting ready to put this bag together. Alright? So the first thing we want to do is let's put the bottom piece together on the bag. And this black thread is everywhere, huh? So we're going to take the bottom piece of the bag and we're going to put right sides together. And what we're going to do here, ooh, that's for me cutting that thread, we're going to pin and we're going to stitch across. Now remember, I was using a 1/2 inch seam allowance, so we're going to stitch across, okay? So now that we've stitched this piece in, so now we're going to take the other side of the bag. We're going to repeat the same process to the other side of the bag. Right sides together. Pin. And stitch. So now we have both sides. Okay. So at this point, let's open up our zipper. Because what we're going to eventually have to do is turn this bag inside out, okay? So now what we're going to do is we're going to take the bottom part of the for the lining, right sides together, and we're going to stitch across. You can pin, if you like, you can pin, and then you're going to stitch. Now that we've done that, now what we're getting ready to do is add our, let's start with this part. We're going to add our side pieces in here, our side of our bag. Let's see. Oh. So what I want you to do here is take the bag. You're going to line it up. Let's see, I guess we'll start up here at the top of the bag. Okay? We're going to start at the top of the bag. Right sides together. And we're going to pin. Because this is how we're going to stitch these on. So we're going to start with the sides and stitch both the sides on here. So now what you're getting ready to do is you're going to stitch all the way around, connecting this side. And the same thing that we did to this side, you're going to actually do to the other side of the bag as well. Okay, so now we have sewn all around this one side. And let me take this off because you know what? Now, this was actually a iron-on stabilizer. So I have no idea where it came off, but it's okay. It's on the side. So we've actually stitched around the side here, and you're going to do the same thing to this side, making sure everything is in here. Again, we're going to add the side on, right sides together, and just like I did the other side, I want you to line this up like this. Now you see why I said leave that room open. When you leave that space open where you don't sew the zipper all the way, so we can get this piece in here on the side. And this also why I didn't cut the stabilizer all the way to the end, so we could actually have room enough to stitch around, and we won't have so much bulk there, or you know, it would have been hard for you to actually work with. So that's another reason why. So we're going to pin this the same way. And then after we do that, we're going to do the lining piece the same exact way. So let me turn this over. Let me line this piece up here at the top. And actually, it's actually better too if you pin it in the inside like this, because you're going to actually sew on the inside. So I usually end up, when I get to the sewing machine, turning all my pins over anyway to this side. Okay, and we're going to do the lining the same exact way, but we wanted to do the outer bag first. Make sure your zipper is open. And we're good to go. Because you have to turn the bag out, so inside out. So I don't want you to sew when we do the lining, and I'll show you. When we do the lining, we're going to leave a hole. We're going to leave a piece open in the side of the lining so we could turn the bag inside out. But you have to still have your zipper open. Okay? Okay, so now and if this piece if this comes off, that's fine too. See, it was almost on there, but we'll just take that off on the side. The bottom is good and the sides are good, so that's fine. If yours come off, if it doesn't, then fine. We can still work with this bag. Still be a nice messenger bag because this fabric is pretty, it's a pretty sturdy, thick fabric because it's already quilted. This is a pre-quilted fabric, so nothing's gonna happen if it comes off. But actually, that was actually an iron on, so I don't know. Alright, so we're going to take this back to the sewing machine and stitch around it just like we did the first side. Alright. So now we have both sides on now, as you see here. Okay. We have both our sides on. Now we're going to do the same thing to our lining. But again, when you put the lining on, I want you to make sure that you keep an opening on one side so that you can, I'm going to do this the same way. You're going to keep an opening on one side. And actually, you know what? I think we're going to start here at the bottom. Because what I want to do when I get up, I need to no, it's good. So you're going to take this, I'm going to put the sides together like this. We're going to stitch, I'm sorry, we're going to pin, and then we're going to stitch around just like we did. This is the one, let's leave our, let's leave about an inch open on this one, okay? Matter of fact, let's see where we're going to leave it open at. Let's see. You're going to stitch around. Let's leave it open here, okay? And we're going to stitch here. We're going to leave this part open so we can turn the bag inside out, okay? That's the only side we're going to do it on, just the one side. I'm going to stitch all the way around on this side. All the way down. And then on the other side, we're going to repeat this same step on the other side of the bag. Except for we're going to stitch all the way around. We're only leaving one side open, and we're going to leave this side of the bag open so we can turn it inside out. Make sure your zipper is open at this point. We're going to leave this side open, but when we go on this side, we're going to pin it all up and sew it, okay? I'll be right back. Alright, so now let's move our sewing machine. A lot of stuff out the way. So now that we have everything, so now we're getting ready to turn this bag inside out. We left a hole open here, so we're going to go through that hole. We're going to start balling this bag up to pull it out. So make sure you leave a bigger hole open on the side. Okay, so I'm going to fix this real quick. And then we're going to stitch this hole closed, and then we're going to push our lining in, okay? How about we're almost done? Okay, so now that you've pushed your lining in, see? Isn't that cool? Got the pocket here and everything. So we're almost done. We're almost there. We are almost there. So now what you're going to do is turn these two sides in together. You're going to pin because we're going to stitch across there. You're going to do it to both sides. Let me show you. You're going to turn that in like that. You're going to turn this in. So we'll get a clean outside. Do the same thing all the way around here. You can line those two side seams up together. Now again, I'm using black thread, and we're going to stitch across there. We're going to stitch across here, and then that'll be it. Clean up any extra threads that you have on your bag, and once we stitch that, we're going to close the zipper up, and we're going to see how our bag look. All right, so that's what we're going to do now. All right, look at that. Isn't that nice? Didn't that come out cool? All right, I'm excited about this bag. Look, everybody, we have our messenger bag. Look, it zips. We can put stuff in it, lots of stuff. And we have a decorative front. Look at that. Oh my goodness, we're finished. We did it. We did it. We did it. We did it. Oh my goodness, look. Oh, we did it. We did it. I'm so excited. We are finally finished. You know, just get I usually use either a lint brush or to just get that extra little, or you can use a piece of tape just to get the extra little pieces of thread off of it. But other than that, look, it's done. This is it. This is our messenger bag. How freaking cute is that? How freaking cute is it? I'm so excited. All right, that's our messenger bag. I hope you enjoyed this video. And these are our straps. And the reason that I did it like this is because we can adjust it to however long or short we want to carry it. All right. Thank you. Hope you enjoyed it. Have a good one.